Hello, Serge here from my office, which is above looking down on the backyard driving range. Sorry for the little bit of a delay. We had trouble with some I got technical difficulties, I guess we'll call it.
Yes,
But
beyond
we
our
are
control.
over those. Doc was languishing and getting through. There must be something about Columbia, South Carolina that is not good here. I mean, I don't know what's the problem over there. I know what it is. It's South
Wait a
Carolina
minute. We
Gamecocks.
we beat we beat Georgia.
Yeah, so what? A black squirrel can find an acorn now and then.
Let me see. Georgia beat Clemson. So I think we know who's going to win the South Carolina Bowl this year.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyways,
Winthrop.
there's a number of questions. We're going to answer all the questions. We got them here on the screen to read them. So everybody that basically sent in, I think we'll hopefully have time to answer your questions in an hour and a half. But before that, there's a number of them that are double questions in that you have your question about the setup, the swing clubs or whatever, and you want to know about me. So we'll get me off right off in the start. Today is 2 days past my 3-month anniversary of the operation, which was on June 17th, and it was a 8.5 hour operation, and it was like 10 times, 100 times worse than the first one, but I'm doing great. I'm in what they call cardiac rehab now. I'm halfway through of my 36 visits. I'm actually a little bit more than half through. I'm 22 with 23 of them, so I got about 4 more weeks left of 3 times a week. I go in Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 9:30, and I'm out by about 11:15. They give me a few more things to do now, and so I'm walking out of there soaking wet, sweating. So I'm working at it, and on my days that I'm home, they got me walking on my treadmill 45 minutes at basically full speed, so I'm working up a sweat there, and then during that time I'm walking 2.7 miles on average now, at about a 3.8 on my treadmill. So I'm getting back in pretty good shape. Weight wise, I'm the lowest I've been in over 40 years, I guess you could say. I'm down to my college weight, and the weight I had when I got married 41 years ago. So I'm not down to it yet, but I'm getting close. I'm under 180 pounds. I'm down at 178, and I'm hanging in there pretty good. So I'm feeling great. The chest has really quieted down. I'm still only on putting. They haven't released me to chip or pitch or hit any or swing. I've been making some swings with just a club and not hitting a golf ball. But I have my appointment with my cardiologist exactly 1 week from about 30 minutes ago, 2:30 on next Friday. I have my cardiologist appointment, and I'm sure I'll get the go ahead to start rehabbing and stuff. I made my first reasonable trip Wednesday. I drove to Charleston to go see DJ and work with him a little bit, and I stayed overnight with him, and then I drove back Thursday, late Thursday afternoon, because I had to be home to go to rehab this morning. And I'm not missing it. I'm getting that stuff down, and I'm doing it all, and I'm doing well over there too, and they're very pleased with me. And so everything's going well. I'm feeling better. My appetite's back. My taste buds are back, I think, and I'm doing well. Doc, you saw me yesterday. How did I look?
Yes, I
I
meant to
stopped. I
tell you
stopped in and
yesterday.
saw Doc on the way home. I figured I had to punish myself, so I stopped in for an hour.
Wait a minute. That was a surge hour, which actually was 2.5 hours. But
Oh, was it?
who's
No wonder
counting?
I was. No
It was
wonder I
good.
was home late.
It was good to see you, and I meant to tell you yesterday that you were looking really good. I think you're looking better than you did, months ago, even before you went for surgery. So you're looking really good.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling good too, because I wasn't feeling that good back then. I was having trouble breathing. Uh, I had a very, I don't know if the doc had this planned or it was just an accident, but while I was in his office, a young man walked in, and a young man who's on the South Carolina golf team, and I just about was shocked when I turned around and it was him standing there, and it ends up that he's been a long-time student of mine. He's now 6 feet 1 inches tall. But when I started working with him, he was about 7 years old and about somewhere between my belt buckle and my chest. And now he's like almost all the kids I ever taught, they were looking down on me. And Keenan Husky is his name. He's turned out to be one heck of a golfer. He was Carolina's Amateur Player of the Year last year, and he's won almost every big tournament in South Carolina, North Carolina, qualified for the U.S. Amateur, and he's got himself a scholarship. He had a scholarship signed, I think, was it his sophomore year or at least
Yes.
the junior year to go to South Carolina. I couldn't sway him no matter what. He wouldn't think about Clemson, and he probably only lives like 30 miles from Clemson, and yet he's over there in South Carolina. But it's a good school. It's a good school. Got some, and he's not starting yet, but there's a good chance he'll probably be starting pretty soon. So that was a good thing. He was in there to get a club reworked or something, and Jock had to reshaft one of his clubs because he's got all his clubs made by put together by Doc. So that was really nice running into Keenan. And so outside of that, I guess Doc did inform me that he has the answer to a, do we want to call this a trivia question or a history question? You know what I'm talking about.
It's pretty much, I think, it's a trivia question, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask the first question. I'm going to ask another part of this question. See if you remember. What year does this question relate to? And the question is who was the first captain of the first Ryder Cup team?
Okay. The actual first competition between the UK and the States took place in 1921, but it wasn't called the Ryder Cup at that point. It wasn't until 1927 that the first official Ryder Cup was played. Walter Hagen was the captain. It had himself, Johnny Farrell, Gene Saracen, Leo Deagle, Johnny Golden, Joe Ternesia, Al Watros, Bill Melhorn, and Al Espinosa.
Are you doing all this from memory, or are you reading?
And if memory serves me correct, I think we won by like 9.5 points. They only did 2 days then. It was Friday and Saturday. They didn't do a Sunday round. 9.5 to 2.5. And the matches were 4-ball foursomes on Friday and singles matches on Saturday. There you have it.
So when did they, was there a long time where they didn't have any Ryder Cup matches?
Well, no, they started playing in 21, but it wasn't until 27 when Sam Ryder donated the cup, and it became it became known as the Ryder Cup.
Oh, okay. So I think that pretty much answers it.
What year did we miss? There was a couple, but the infamous year for missing the Ryder Cup that never happened was what?
Had to be around 40.
It was 2001.
They had some during World War II?
No, they missed the ones during World War II as well.
They missed some then, but I'm talking about the infamous one due to 9/11.
Oh yeah.
And okay. I have a real neat poster of that I call it the Ryder Cup that never happened. A real nice poster of that framed. So I'm keeping that as a keepsake.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Ryder Cup that never happened.
Well, do you want to prognosticate on this one? Because it's next week.
Whew. Yeah, but you don't want to hear it because
only the second time it's ever been in Scotland.
Oh yeah, speaking of Scotland,
I am a diehard American. My heritage is Scotch-Irish, but I'm a diehard American, and I would love to see the Americans pull it off. But in all honesty, I don't see it happening. I just don't think we've got the firepower that they have.
Oh well. Well, the good news is, if anybody's wondering, Scotland voted down leaving or seceding from Great Britain, so that's safe for now. So I guess all the good the good trips to be able to go over there and play these great Scottish golf courses will still be around for a while. And but
if you can go over there and understand our English, that's the problem.
Oh yeah.
You can understand. We just got to get them to talk slow.
Yeah.
They've also decided to let women in the ultra private clubs now.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't read that. I haven't
announced yesterday,
that.
I believe it was.
Well,
yeah, there was Golf Channel was giving it plenty of airtime yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna root for the American team, but
I'm rooting for.
I think they can pull it off. But you know, I think the big issue that I've gotten tired of listening to is all the hype about who the captain's picks are going to be, and I've been saying it for years. I've been against captain's picks. If the whole key is it's a 12-man team and you got 2 years to qualify it, and you finish 10, 11, and 12, you really haven't made the team. Because if anybody's going to go bye-bye, it's going to be those 3 guys. And I think that's wrong. I just think if it's all about 2 years of qualifying by playing the PGA Tour, and it's a 12-man team, you're qualified. And forget the captain's picks. It's always, I mean, for a while that seems to have more hype than everything else. And from the player standpoint, and I've been through this when DJ was supposed to play in 2010. I mean, these guys are on pins and needles. Sometimes the captains don't talk to them for weeks and stuff like that. And I can't tell you that year, DJ was number 11, and in that year they had 4, 2010, and they had 4. And the last 4 guys, every time they saw each other, hey, have you heard from the captain? You heard from the captain? You heard anything? Did he say anything? Got any news? And I mean, these guys were on pins and needles. As far as I'm concerned, get rid of the captain's picks, and it's. You busted your hump 12 for 24 months to make it. If you're in that top 12, you're on the team. And if they need a 13th guy, because somebody has to withdraw, you take number 13, becomes number 12. But anyways,
yeah.
But then again, a lot of people might like the hype of the captain's picks. I don't think so. I just think when a man's worked and humped it for 2 years, 24 months, and he's in the top and he's inside the top 12, he should be on the team. And because again, they're always saying, "Oh, I want the guys that's playing the hottest at the moment." Well, I think the hottest guy that's playing it right now is Horschel, Billy Horschel.
Billy Horschel.
Yeah, but anyways, okay, we covered everything we need to on the Ryder Cup. They're playing Glen Eagles. I've been there. I played in some matches of the United States Club Pros against British Club Pros, and we played. I was lucky to go to Glen Eagles twice. That's a fantastic hotel, and they got like 3 golf courses over there, and they got some good ones. And so it's going to be great views up there, and and Scotland is nice. I loved going to Scotland. And the thing that's beautiful about Scotland is you could go into any pub anywhere, and the people sit in a pub, and you start talking to them, and they might not have ever stepped foot on a golf course, but they know everything about golf. I mean, like, you go into any bar in the United States or pub in the United States, and they'll talk football and basketball and baseball with you, right? When the right season's up, it's full of the people all knowledgeable. Well, over there's people that have never touched a golf club. They don't know a driver from a putter or a Titleist from a Pinnacle or from a Top Flight, and yet they're knowledgeable about golf. The only other thing that was crazy for me over there is back in those days I didn't really drink. I was pretty much a teetotaler, and so when I was over there I would just drink my Diet Coke with a lime. and you go over there, and since the day I quit drinking, it was about 7 years ago, I haven't had to take one Tums, but I'd go in there and they got the little ice bucket on the bar, and so they'd pour you your Coke, and you say, "I'd like some ice, please," and they reach in there with the tweezers and drop one little ice cube, and I just keep going like this, and after about 3 times, it's like if looks could kill you, I'd be dead. It's like it's insulting if you want more than 2 or 3 ice cubes, and but anyways, it's the greatest. And,
I mean, the Scottish in general, they're extremely friendly. I've been to I've been to the Highlands up in Fort William, Scotland. I went there for not golf. I went there for a mountain bike race, but I mean they're extremely friendly, and I will say they have some of the best beer in the world. I won't lie, but it's an interesting place, and to see a lot of the landscape there is pretty spectacular, I will say.
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. I'll tell you this really quick story, then we'll get on to the questions. One year we're playing, and the matches are at Turnberry, and we had just flown in all the way from the States and got in, and we went out to play. My best friend Stanley and I, they always usually put Stan and I together for the 2-ball matches, and I'm walking with Stanley. I was so tired I didn't want to play, but I walked the whole 18 with him because I wanted to see the course. And at Turnberry, there's the lighthouse out there, and I think that's either the 9th tee or the 10th tee. I can't forget, but that was like 1986 or 7. And so as we're walking past the lighthouse, we tee off and we're walking down the fairway to the lighthouse. This young man, I'd say he must have been about 17 or 18 years old or whatever. Maybe he was a little older. He comes walking out of the lighthouse. In other words, you got the lighthouse and you got this wall around it, and it's got big high. So the wall's about 10 feet high or whatever, and it's got 2 big doors, gated doors open. And he comes walking out the middle, and right as we're crossing the road to drive across the hole to be able to get out to the street, he comes walking down the road, and he just looks at it, and says, "Hey, how you doing?" Whatever, and he says, "Hey, mind if I walk with you?" And we said, "Sure." So he's carrying a big, huge brown paper grocery bag that looks filled to the top, a big grocery bag. And so we no sooner get about 50 yards down the fairway, he reaches in and he pulls out a beer, and then he looks at it and says, "You want a beer?" And so Stanley and I both pass. He had 2 6-packs in there. All right? Now listen to this, 2 6-packs in there. So we played Stanley plays the whole backside. We walk off the 18th green, and we're over there, and he said, "Well, what are you guys doing now?" I said, "Well, we got to find a place to go eat." And I said, "Man, I'd love to have some fish and chips because they're the best in England and Scotland." And he says, "I know the place." He says, "Plus I need to get some more beer." He went through the 2 6-packs of beer. All right? So he there's no beer left. So he says, "I know the place." He said, "Into the town." Now, Turnberry is between 2 towns. They're like 5 miles apart. So he says, "I got a buddy. He'll come and pick us up." We go in the clubhouse. This in '86 is before cell phones. So he calls a guy up, and next thing you know, 5 minutes later, there's a taxi there picking us up. He takes us into this town, and we're driving down these little side streets, and we pull up, and there's a fish and chip joint. So we walk in there, and it's empty. There's nobody in there. So we sit down. The cabbie comes in with us. I said, "Well," he says, "That's all right. I'll just shut it down for a while." So he locks the doors up. He comes in, and so we're with the young man, the cabbie, and we get a waitress, and guess what? She's a Scottish girl, and she recognizes our accent. She says, "Where you from?" So at the time, I was in Georgia. We say, "Yeah, we're from Georgia, just outside of Atlanta." She says, "Hey, I go to the University of Georgia." So next thing you know, it is in 10 minutes, she's called a few people. Before you know it, there's like 40 people in there, and there's a heck of a party going. We were there like 3 hours and eating fish and chips and stuff. So, I mean, they are talk about friendly people. But anyways, it's time to get to question number 2. This one is from Gerald.
Well, hey,
What?
wait a minute. Before you get there, hang on a second. Because you've been out of commission for a while. Before you get into the questions, let's cover what we've had to do schedule-wise for the rest of the year for folks that are watching.
Yeah, there's a couple questions about that. What we're going to do.
Obviously, with you being out, we've had to redo some things. So I leave Sunday for Houston. We'll be down there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And the plan is that next Friday, when you go back to the cardiologist,
I will be down there.
I will be down there.
Yeah, right. You said we.
Pardon me. Me will be down there Friday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then you get your cardiologist appointment next Friday. We're believing that you're going to get released and that you'll be able to travel. So in October, we're putting together a school and fitting session in Reston, Virginia, which is in the Dulles, right outside of Washington area. And then in November, we're looking really hard at you and myself going into Toronto, Canada, and doing something
Hey,
there
man,
for a week.
there should be snow on the ground up by there. We got to teach them how to hit snowballs?
We've got a good indoor facility there, so I'm sure by November our northern brethren will be itching to get some instructions and fitting. So I think that's a good time of year. When I was there 2 years ago, I was there in our springtime here in the south, and the day before I left, we got 6 inches of snow up there, and oddly enough, my flight leaving out was delayed, not because of their snow, but because of thunderstorms in Atlanta the night before. So they're prepared up there. So we're moving our regularly scheduled Australia visit, which we do in November. We're going to move that to February, and we're considering adding, instead of the 3 stops at Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, we're looking at the possibility of adding Perth this year, and then we're also doing some exploring as to whether or not it would be feasible for us to go over to New Zealand and do a stop there before we come home. So marketing right now is looking into all of that, and as we have news, we'll update you. But right now, that's how we're looking.
Yeah, I'm
now,
sorry,
back
but
to your questions.
it had to be changed because the cardiologist and the surgeon wouldn't let me go, but most importantly, Nurse Susan won't let me go. And
Yeah,
in
and
November.
Kim.
Yeah, and Kim. Okay.
Don't leave that out.
Yeah, we ready? We ready for next question?
Let her roll.
This one comes from Jack Ely, Gerald Ely, and Gerald says, regarding forward shaft lean, in a daily from 2011, you said, the hands are getting to the ball. Whoa. The thing went bye-bye before I finished it.
It's up at the top.
Okay, before shaft lean, in a daily for 2011, you said the hands are getting to the ball before impact if you want to hit a good golf shot. But in 2013, you said forward shaft lean is positively not the way to hit a golf ball. I guess, and it says, please, I guess it's say explain. Okay, here's the deal. There's a race between the hands and the club to impact. The hands always win in the sense that they get there, but the club, in a nanosecond, catches up and passes the hands. All right? So I'm not really saying that there's forward shaft lean at when the hands get there first. But at impact, our hands and club will basically be in line, and the club goes by so fast that we actually, the hands look behind where the ball was. Now, the forward shaft lean I'm talking about in 2013 is what you see all the tour players today doing, which is they start with they're very deep. They start by turning the hips, and their body, their upper body's running away from their arms and hands, and they're trying, and they're starting with their weight on the left, on their forward foot, which if you're right-handed would be the left foot, and they're keeping the weight there, and they want the hands coming in a position like this. So if I can put a pen in my hand here, you can see that they got it way ahead like this. At impact, the hands are going to get here first, and will be in this position at impact where the head's slightly still behind the ball a fraction. I mean, it's like hitting base home runs from the center field or left field where the body is, the bat's out in front of you, and you're hitting it that way. Everybody's playing in front. Now, if all the baseball players hit balls the way 99% of golfers are taught to play today, the only thing they'd be doing is hitting slap shots down the first baseline and right at the first baseline and into the right field bleachers and into the dugout on the right, and because they're playing golf ahead of the ball. All right. So the key is that the hands get there first, but you're talking faster than a blink of an eye, a nanosecond. If they're straightened up and the body is moved backwards a little bit because we had the lateral left bump, which the lower body runs away and the upper body goes backwards, and everything catches up, and both arms are relatively straight at impact, and we're in this position, and then the club goes in and catches it, and we swing it up over the shoulders, and we finish square to the target. All right. Now, if Doc and I were playing, we're talking to y'all the way everybody's taught to finish right now, I'd be sitting like this talking to the wall over there. Okay? you finish just like you taught like I taught all the kids in the 7 years I pitched I coached little league and stuff. To you throw, you look where you throw where you look, and you end up facing where you look. All right, golf's the only sport in the world today that doesn't have you swing at and finish at where you want to throw or hit something. So I usually, and some of you that come to lessons know I have the statement. There's only one sport in the world that says, A, you turn your back to your target to get power. Do you know what that is? And it's amazing how many times in some lessons people say, I don't know, it's golf. All right? And then there's only one sport that doesn't teach you that wherever you're trying to throw or hit something, that you don't throw towards that and finish there. Do you know what that is? No, golf. Did God give golfers a dispensation to play by their own set of rules? Because every sport in the world is you ever see, you don't see batters standing there with their back to the target, and you don't see pitchers throwing the ball, throwing over here when they want the ball to go over there. So golf is breaking a lot of the, never mind common sense rules, but the rules of motion and acceleration in terms of how you got to move to make things go where you want it to go. So hopefully this clears up that question, and so I guess we go on to the next question. You got anything to add to that, Doc?
No, I totally agree with you there. It's there's been so much of an emphasis placed on the tour striker being a training aid, which I had a guy come in the shop this week and ask me my opinion of it, and I basically told him in one word, well, I guess it's 2 words, not much. It's teaching you the forward shaft lean, and you're having to strike down on the ball. And he said, well, one of the things the guy said in his video was about not striking down on the ball. I said, that's a bunch of malarkey. I don't care what he says. In order to swing that training aid and do it the way that he's teaching you to do it, you have to swing down and you have to take a divot. And I said, there's a difference between taking a divot and just lightly brushing the top of the grass and staining the bottom of your club. You look at these trenches that some of these tour guys dig. If they played down here in the South on the courses that we play on, I'd give them maybe 2 or 3 months before their wrists would be really, really damaged. You can't continue to do that over and over and over, and that's what that forward shaft lean is creating, is a attack in having to dig down in the dirt. Never thought that made a lot of sense. So I'm in agreement with you there. You don't have that forward shaft lean through impact. Your hands are slowing down and the club head is catching up, and that's the way to hit a proper golf shot.
Yeah, and
so much for that.
Yeah, and the forward shaft lean is they're actually digging out divots. I mean, your hands are so far forward that your downward angle is just going in there, and you can see on the tour how much they're really just digging out divots. Now, naturally, I'm going to clarify something you said. You said playing down here in the South, all right, and you even said South, but
yeah, well,
let's explain that.
That's where I'm from.
I grew up in the North where dirt was dirt. In the South, dirt is down here is red Georgia clay with a little bit of dirt and maybe sand. And when red Georgia clay doesn't have a lot of water, it gets hard as a brick. All right, and so that's what Doc was alluding to. I mean, you take divots if you're really taking divots down here, and there's a lot of tour players that they will change their wedges based on the dirt that they're on. Now you go up and play like in Massachusetts where I grew up. I mean, I could shave a divot over there and still take a pelt about this big, the size of my foot, and put it back. But it comes out in one nice slice. It lays right back in. Over here, you could take some of these guys can dig out a divot this big, but it'll only be maybe about that deep. But that's deep for down here. But it comes out and it tends to split up, blow apart. And so that's the big thing that Doc's talking about. When you start getting North Carolina South, South Carolina, Tennessee South, boy, especially in the summer and in the winter, but even on no time, even after rains, these grounds don't take divots like you do where you got beautiful dirt and loam where as compared to most other places in the States or in England and Scotland. So that's to clarify that. I'd like to, before I answer another question, I'd like to just say something about what I feel is kind of like the state of golf a little bit. Since for about the first 2 months when I really couldn't do a lot, and it was about almost a month and a half before I even started my cardiac rehab. And I mean, I was basically still in pain. I couldn't barely move. It was like my chest was just always lit up like electricity with nerves regenerating and everything else. And I was spending a lot of time watching golf on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I mean, I'm watching it all. I'm watching the European Tour, the LPGA Tour, the PGA Tour, the Web.com Tour. I'm watching the U.S. Amateur when it was on TV, and the public links that on the TV. And oh yeah, I'll make another political statement right here. I think the dumbest thing the USGA ever did was getting rid of the U.S. Amateur public links. And what was their reason? Well, because it's supposed to be the working man's tournament for men and women, and now it's the last 15 years, it's 20 years, it's all been won by college players. And I know it has. DJ was one of them. But hey, if you don't want them in there, just raise the age. But why get rid of a, what was it, 75-year-old tournament that's got great heritage, beautifully big trophy, and you get rid of it because you don't want the young kids to win it anymore? Come on, man. It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. Just raise the age. It's a great tournament. 75 years of history. It's been just trashed. I thought that was pathetic. So anyways, but what I'm watching in all of these tournaments is I can't get over the pitiful state of ball striking. I mean, I'm watching tournaments now at any one of these levels, but I'm talking especially about the professional golfers that are playing for a living. They're playing, they hit they got a 7-iron or a short iron to the green, and the pin is back, and they hit the ball on the front of the green. They got a 50, 60, 70-foot putt, and the announcers are saying, well, not a great shot, but okay. And sometimes I see him hit him in there 40 feet, and they're saying, nice shot. And it's like, come on, man. If you're 60 feet short of the flag, 60 feet equates out to 20 yards. You are 2 clubs short. I'm sorry, that's not a good shot. And then sometimes they got the pin on the left side or they got it on the right side, and the guy it's a monster screen, and he's 50 feet left or 50 feet right, and they're saying, nice shot. Come on, give me a break. Again, you hit it 20 yards from the pin. I mean, I think if you're hitting the ball really good and you're a good ball striker, you're gonna. I mean, hey, we all hit those shots now and then. But when they consistently hit so many shots, I'm not going to use the word consistently, but I'm going to say way too often, can't even sniff the flag when they hit it straight at it and come up 60 feet short. That blows my mind. And then you got the shots where they hit it off the planet to the right, and the next time off to the left. I mean, give me a break. That's just what happens with the swings. But the scary part is these people are still shooting, many of them, good numbers, making checks, because as long as they keep it in play and they can get it up and down, and as we know, most of them, they're playing on really pure greens, so their putting is good. They can get away with it. But and as I've always said, nobody hits all 18 greens. So golf, the most important thing about golf is a game of misses, and he who misses best wins. And I've always liked to think that, at least in my career, my misses were always around the green, if not on the green. And to me, a bad miss was hitting it with a 7-iron or shorter, was hitting it more than 20 feet from the hole, whether it be right or left or short or whatever, or a little bit long, but not 60 feet. But anyways, that's my state of the game. I mean, I've just seen a lot of, I can't believe how pitiful golf shots I see some of these people make, and pitiful swings where they're wrapping their arms around their body. Heck, I can't even get my arms in some places I've seen people finish. I guess my arms aren't either long enough or got enough breaks in them to fold around the way my neck the way they do. But that's my state of the affairs there. So next question comes from Robert Mead. I guess this must be Mr. Mead from Las Vegas. He says, health permitting, would Serge consider calling Tiger now that he may need a new coach? I say he should. Now the question is, does that mean Robert's saying Tiger should get a new coach, or that I should call him? Either way, the answer I think would be that, number one, he definitely needs to get a new coach, but he needs to get the right coach. And what would be the right coach? The right coach would be a coach who could teach him a body-friendly golf swing. And hello, PPGS is the body-friendly golf swing, correct? And just to let the world know, and all of you out there, I sent Tiger Woods' manager, a gentleman named Mark Steinberg, I sent him a 2.5-page letter, including, I also sent him my original biomechanical study, The Effect of a Shortening of the Full Golf Backswing on Clubhead Velocity of Ball Impact, where we actually showed, in other words, in scientific terms, you say showed, you don't use the word prove. They don't like to use that word, show, that when you take a parallel, a longer swing, and we shortened it up to 3/4, that we actually, the clubhead speed was the same or increased, but even if the clubhead speed was the same, the long swing was in negative acceleration, and the positive swing was, and the long swing and the short swing was in positive acceleration.
Yeah, I think that's part of your article for that we include for free in the 10 free videos called the Case for a Shorter Backswing that you published in the 90s, correct?
I included that in there too. That was done. That was an article where Senior Golfer magazine approached me one time and said, "We heard you got a pretty good swing for teaching seniors and stuff, but it's not really for seniors. It's for just seniors. It's for everybody." I mean, I hate to say it, but I've had kids as young as 12 years old come to me for a lesson, and why did their father search me out? Because they needed a back-friendly golf swing for their 12-year-old who was already in rehab for back problems. How pitiful is that? 12 years old, and he's had to go to a PT to go through a month or two of rehab because his back's killing him. So, anyways, I sent him the letter. I sent him a whole bunch of other things. I actually even sent him a 2-page letter that Dr. Armstrong wrote me. I asked him one time to write me after Tiger had about his 3rd knee surgery. I said, "Could you write me up something from what you've read about?" Because when doctors, surgeons work on a guy like Tiger, they're going to immediately write that up into write those up for their periodicals and stuff, and because they need to get write-ups and stuff, and it gives them good PR, and we find out the real ins and outs of what that surgery was. And I said, "Could you write me up what you've been reading about Tiger and just give me a synopsis and cover what's wrong, why it's wrong, what's he got to do to help it, and everything else?" But the doc did that, but he also threw in how the PPGS is the only swing that can help him not have those problems anymore. So I included that letter. So I point blank in the 2.5 pages I sent Mr. Steinberg, I flat told him, I said, Tiger is at the crossroads of his career. I told him that as early as 1998 or 99, I predicted that when I saw him changing his swing, because when he won his 3 U.S. junior amateurs in the early 90s and his then 3 U.S. amateurs in a row, 3 juniors and 3 U.S. amateurs in a row, that's 6 straight years of match play, not losing a match. That is mind-boggling. And then after he turned pro, he started changing his swing, and they started teaching him rotational. If you go and Google Tiger Woods U.S. Amateur Championships or U.S. Amateur Championships, you will see swings of Tiger Woods that are about 80 to 85% PPGS. He's 3/4. His club is maybe about 11 o'clock instead of being perfectly 12. It's just a little bit back here. He's got a narrower stance. The knees stay very quiet. His club, as I said, he stands it up, but he was finishing up over his shoulder, relatively square to the target. He was about 80, 85% PPGS. Look at him after he turned pro. He's now basically totally rotational and even somewhat with a little bit of stack and tilt thrown in as he's gone through his 4 teachers. Okay? And I predicted when I saw that change in the late 90s, 98 or 99, I predicted walking down the fairway at Atlanta Athletic Club, watching DJ play in the Western Amateur, which is Atlanta Athletic Club is Georgia, and that was only like 30 miles by the way the bird flies from where I had my club job at Pine Tree Country Club in Kennesaw, Georgia. So I had a lot of folks over there that I taught, and we were walking. We had a good group, and Dr. Armstrong was there because that's only about 5 miles from his house. And I said, Doc, I'd be willing to bet right now that it won't take long, but Tiger Woods is going to have problems with his left knee, if not blow it out, strain it, whatever. And at the time, he was also locking down the right arm as the lag drag hole going through, and I said, I wouldn't doubt he's going to have bad elbow problems. But so far, I've never heard about elbow problems, but he's had 3 or 4 operations on that left knee, and it's in bad shape. Plus, he's got a bad back. He's had neck problems. And And every time he had treatments or surgery on that knee and he came back and I see him locking it up, I predicted it's coming back. Because if you do what you did to cause it and then you come back and do it again, it's going to come back with a vengeance. And so I wrote this in a letter and I just said, Tiger Woods will not have a chance, has no chance, because I'm the only guy that knows what I know about the body. And I'm the only guy that can teach him a golf swing that he'll hit the ball more solid and more straight, probably than he's ever hit it, get his distance back, but more importantly, get control and reduce the stress not only on his left knee, but it's going to reduce the stress in his back, his shoulders, his neck, everything. And I think if he gets it back, he's in the ball game again. And he's only, 38 years old? So I think he's got a great chance to beat Nicklaus's record without a doubt. But without me, I'd be willing to bet right now he's got and he goes back to another bad swing, gets a teacher that keeps him somewhat rotational, and that leg keeps locking up. I think Tiger's back.
It goes back to quintessential definition for insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results.
Different results.
Well, I do have a quote in here from Paul Azinger, as we know, was a pretty darn good player. I mean, I got stacks and stacks of stuff when I want to start doing dailies again. And there was an article about Tiger after the surgery. I mean, here, how about this one? I'm going to put this up and see if you guys can see this. Can you all see that finish? That's a golfer. He looks like he's auditioning to become a pretzel. Look at his arms. Look where his head and his eyes are looking. They're looking way down over here to this side of me over here, and his chest and his belt buckle are over here on the other side. But look at those arms. It's unbelievable.
Hey, you're hurting my back.
Don't look at it then.
Oh man, now I've got to stretch. Oh.
But I found this article by that Paul Azinger wrote about Tiger. I got it in here someplace. And here it is. It's a quote. It said, I think that most golfers have made the same mistakes in some weird way about changing their golf swings, about changing fingerprints, if you will, for fundamentals, and I think Tiger has done that to his detriment. And Jack Nicklaus never made those mistakes. Jack understood that if he could stay the same, he would still dominate. Tiger didn't need to get better. He didn't need to get worse. He needed to stay the same, and he could still dominate. And in his quest to get better, it's kind of backfired on him. And I think that is a great definition of what happened. At what point, I don't think we ever stopped trying to get better, but we don't want to get better changing our whole profile or fingerprints. So it is the word that Azinger used. We just got to keep tightening our margins, making our swing more efficient where our misses are less bad. And any time, and no game ever stays constant. It's always an up and down like a wave. It's always another wave coming in. So today the driver was great. Tomorrow might not be so good. And that day something will be really good. But all of us have some major, I want to say major type of problem that's going to keep always coming back and biting us. It's going to be our Achilles heel, so to speak. And that's the one thing we got to keep working on. But we don't need to go out and have major plastic surgery and come out looking like somebody that we don't even recognize unless we have a name tag on. All right? And so it's just keeping things tight, keeping things sharp, just like our equipment, right, Doc? Just because you buy your clubs and they're good, you got to get them checked now and then. The lies can change. The lofts can change. The grips wear out, right? And so all we want to do is massage the swing, but we don't want to change our identity, our footprint, our fingerprint. You just keep things, your margins tighter and your errors less, and you just work on the things that need working on. You don't change your whole profile. And that's what Azinger very likely said. And as I said, so to finish off the question, yes, I sent the thing to Tiger Sky, to his manager, Mark Steinberg. I mailed it out 3 weeks ago Monday, and I haven't heard a word yet. And I can't call Tiger because I don't know his number. And I know that if I call the PGA Tour, they're not going to give it to me. And so I figured a smart thing is to go through his manager and see what happens. But I think that if Tiger goes and gets another teacher that keeps him rotational, keeps the left leg straightened up, His problems are not going to go away in terms of his body and his ball striking. He might tighten it a little bit better, but in the end, his body is beat up big time, and it doesn't have much margin of error anymore that it's not going to break down like a cheap chair. And
all right, so I mean,
so on to the next question.
Let's move on. We could talk about Tiger all night
All right,
long.
this is
There's
Randy
probably other
Wolf.
questions.
This is Randy Wolf. Randy's one of our guys from Atlanta. This summer, I truly realized how important alignment was. Oh, talking about the big A. Okay. I thought that I knew after we spoke and realized that my body was following my eyes during setup. It finally clicked. The spot 12 to 14 inches in front of the ball that I can't seem to see the rest of the email. Hang on, let me get it.
So that you suggested really helped.
Yeah. I just told him that he had to tighten up on walking into the ball. Most people do the spot, but for some reason they don't realize that somehow when they finally walk into the ball that they don't ever get their feet down anywhere near parallel of the spot. So that's why, as I said on the ultimate alignment video, one of the last things I finished off with is if you ever feel like you are lined up well and you've made a good swing, and when you look up, you cannot believe where the ball is going. It's either rocketing dead right if you're a right-hander of the target. You've hit a good solid shot and it's rocketing dead right, or you look up and it's a pretty big pull hook or something. What you got to do is, if you haven't lost your balance when you get to your finish, you turn yourself. You're up in your finish. You turn yourself back. You bend over and you place the club down by your toes, and you walk behind. And then you look at the target and you look and see, and I guarantee you it's going to blow your mind how often you're going to see, instead of seeing two parallel lines, you're going to see your feet pointed way at the target or even right of it. And that's how you find out. And I've told this to every student I've ever talked to about alignment, whether it be private lessons, golf schools, personal friends, or whatever. And to this day, how many people have I seen do that? I've told this to DJ almost his entire life. And how many times does DJ do it?
Yeah,
The
so
big goose eggs.
yeah, so
There's only one guy that does it. You want to guess who that is? Me. I do that religiously.
so
now-
I mean, here's a little screen capture of the Ultimate Alignment video. Here's the 10 chapters. Here's a little, example of what you get from the Ultimate Alignment video. It's one of our most, I mean, it's actually, it's in our entire video catalog. This is the video that focuses more on one single subject more than anything else. It's over an hour of video dedicated to one single subject. And here you see the title chapters, and that's included in the actual video itself.
And it all starts from alignment. I mean, you can have the best car in the world with the best GPS. You put the wrong coordinates in, who knows where you're going to end up. And that's what this is looking at. And many people who have gotten the Ultimate Alignment video stated that no matter how much I've talked about alignment and what I've said, the Ultimate Alignment takes it all to another level.
Yeah.
Because I get so deep into it, and I think it's like an hour. It's almost an hour and 40-minute video or something. Now you don't have to all watch it at once. You can watch it by chapters, but take good notes and then look at it more than once, because I think you all know the more every time. I can't tell you how many people say, "Oh, I watched that video for the 10th time and I learned something new again." So that's it.
It's very detailed. I mean, it's extremely detailed because it focuses on one single subject. And it's over an hour on that one single subject. It's extremely detailed.
If you want to get better, that's the answer. Okay.
All right, let's move on to Stephen Layton's question, and it considers, and his question is about the bump.
All right, that's always a very, very big one. Should the bump be a conscious move, or should it happen automatically? Initially, when you're trying to learn the bump, it becomes a conscious move. You've got to be thinking about it. And even though, but it's kind of automatic. Like, say, if I'm going to skip a rock, and might coming back, just like throwing, I come back, the forward foot's already going. The forward foot and hip's already going. So at some point, that's the concept I call a ringing the bell. You find the bell by putting your arm out like this, coming as far as you can turn with your forward arm, with your right hand to the left arm over the shaft, and you put your hand on it, and there's your three-quarter swing, as you can see here, all right? And that's where you put the bell. So as you come up, bing, bang, the hip goes. Now, I don't think about it too often, but every now and then, if I get the sense I'm not bumping well, I'll start thinking about it a little bit. But initially, until you learn to find out where your bell position is and where it starts, and I call it bing, bang, the hip goes. And that's how the bump works. So
Okay.
There's plenty of stuff on that on the dailies and everything else.
Yeah, you can actually search the website for, I mean, you can use the keyword of the bump in the search bar, and you will find a lot of videos about the bump. I hate to cut questions short, but we got a lot of questions to cover tonight. So
Okay, so we'll answer them a little bit quicker. I'll let Doc handle this one.
Moving to the next one, where he's the question here is from Lawrence Quinn. Doc, do you copy that?
Yes. It's been mentioned that brand name clubs have decreased lofts to advertise longer distances. What criteria do you use when building your clubs? And thank you, which are fantastic, I might add. Appreciate the commercial. The criteria that I use, that's a really good, I don't have a criteria for lofts. I mean, a club is what it is, and I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but let's take, for example, real quickly, a commercial that was out that had Nick Faldo, and it's just a voiceover, and he hits one, and the guy says, "That was 205 yards, Mr. Faldo," and I think he says, "I never hit a 5-iron that far." Well, he hadn't still. He hit a 23-degree club, which for most of us, that's just a 4-iron plus. If you go by to the industry standards of the modern industry standards, we won't even talk about today's because there's no standard, that a 3-iron started at 21 degrees and your pitching wedge was 47, 48 degrees. Now you're looking at pitching wedges that are 44, 45, and 3-irons that are 17. Hey, a 1-iron used to be like 19 degrees, and then it changed over the years where 1-irons went away, but even back in days not too far gone, pitching wedges were 50 degrees. So it doesn't matter to me, lofts are on a club. It is what it is. If you need to hit the ball further, take more club. But there is this ego thing about being able to say, hey, I hit a 7-iron, 170, 180 yards, whatever. Big deal. I take a 3 hybrid and hit it that far. I'll kick your butt. I hit it where I want to hit it. Doesn't matter to me what the loft is. So when we get to talking about criteria, no, there is no criteria. My clubs are what they are. The players type clubs are lower lofted. The game improvement, if you will, for the person that needs a little more oomph in getting the ball airborne, they are a little bit higher lofted. But again, we go back to the criteria is we fit you with the clubs, the design features that the player needs. Then you hit whatever club you need to get you to the desired distance, pure and simple.
All right. Would you say, Doc, that I mean, it blows my mind. As I said, I didn't cover this when I talked about watching all the golf tournaments, but I'm seeing guys hitting 7-irons 200 yards, and I mean, you know that they're got forward shaft lean. They've turned that 7 into a 5 or a 6, and hitting down on it, de-lofting it, and it's amazing how much the announcers are always saying what the clubs are, and why do you think that is? I'll give you my opinion and see what you think. Well, who's some of the major sponsors of all the golf tournaments and all the golf magazines? Golf club companies.
Equipment company. Yeah.
Equipment. And so these guys have been told to talk this up so that all the other golfers in the world who are buying that equipment, is going to want to feel like, hey, man, if I buy that club, I'm going to hit it a lot farther because I'm only hitting my 7-iron 110, and this guy's hitting it 200. So this must got to be a better 7-iron. But as Doc just said, it's not a 7-iron anymore. It's not a 7-iron by old standards. All this started back in the late 60s, early 70s when ping came out, and everybody who bought a set of pings was a club longer or more, and a guy that you played with that was the same distance to you was automatically a little bit a club longer or more, and he said, it's the clubs, man. And so you grabbed this club and you hit it, and you hit it a club long. You say, man, I could have a set of these. But guess what? That club was made one club stronger than whatever all the other clubs were basically doing it at the time. So the pitching wedge was a 9-iron loft, the 9 was an 8, and so on. And that's why by the early 80s, we had already lost the 1-iron, the 2-iron, the 3-iron, and even for good players, maybe anybody but a good player with the 3-iron was it. And then everybody was getting into 4 woods, 5 woods, 6 woods, and then eventually hybrids came. So, and they loved it. They'd rather sell you a hybrid than an iron because they get a heck of a lot more money for a hybrid, right? So
exactly.
Hopefully we answered that question.
Yeah, it's kind of a segue in the next question, talking about drivers.
Drivers?
Yeah.
Is choking down on a club the same as cutting down the club shaft? That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's the next question from
Okay, Doc,
Richard,
I guess that one's yours too.
Bruno.
Is choking down on the club the same as cutting down the shaft? No, it is not the same. It is much more advantageous to choke down on the shaft than it is to go cut the club, unless you've got somebody cutting the club who knows what the heck they're doing. When you cut the club, you change the balance points, you change the kick point. Contrary to what people think, you are not changing the flex. You cut from the butt in anyway when you are making the shaft the desired length. So cutting the shaft at the butt end is not changing the flex. As soon as I say that, somebody's going to argue, yes, it has to. Yeah, it will change the flex or the vibrational frequency. It will not change the flex. Flex has to be at least 10 cycles per minute difference, and you won't cut that much off the shaft. So no, I am correct. You don't change the flex. You might change the vibrational frequency, a CPM or two, but not enough to make it matter. What you're doing is lowering the MOI of the club, et cetera, et cetera. So the first thing is you've got to determine, is the MOI of the club right? Then you've got to find out what's the right length. So if you find all that out, then just choke it down. Or if you'd rather not choke it and you want to have it cut, then get to somebody who knows what they're doing and can put the weight back and put it back to the correct MOI and so forth.
Excellent.
Hey,
right.
The next question.
I like this one. I'll be taking this one.
Okay.
Where to go?
Now remember, it's asking
this
about
is from
his
Brian
club.
Hall. How can I generate more power or speed if you do not use the big back muscles as you advocate? Okay, the peak performance golf swing is based on less body movement, and we hold the body quieter so we can swing the arms faster. All right, that's the concept of centrifugal force. If I have a rock hanging on a string here, and the rock's hanging here, and I flip it up in the air, and I get the rock going, as the rock goes, as I let more string out, the rock's going faster and faster. So the symbolism is that the rock is the club head, the string is the shaft in my left arm and the backswing to impact, and then in my right arm becomes the string and a follow through to the finish, and my body is the hand. So we say that the less the body moves, the faster I can swing the arms, right? Because the body is symbolized by the hand holding the string, swinging the rock. Okay? So we are still using our back, but we're using it in a different manner than the rest of the world. All right? The rest of the world is telling you you gain power by taking your back and twisting it like I'm twisting this towel. All right? I'm wringing the water out of this towel. That's what they're doing. They're trying to tell you to turn your back as far as you can go. Now, we have golfers who started a dress with the left arm in this position, and at the top of their backswing, they have turned their arms all the way to the point where the upper arm is at a right angle to their toes. Tiger Woods is one of those. Okay? Is one of the probably 80% out there playing. Now, the only difference was when I just did that, I did not twist my back. What I did was I twisted my swivel chair. All right, and my back never changed. All right, but if I were doing that with my feet on the ground, what would I be doing? I'd be basically the same thing as wringing this towel, right? All my back muscles from my up here near my neck, all the way down through my lat muscles and down into the lower back muscles, and I'm twisting like crazy at my back. Because what are they teaching today? Hold the legs and turn your body as far as you can go. So where is all the twisting coming in? In L1 through 5, and L muscles are what? They have no twist in them. They're basically fused. And where do most people get really bad back pain issues? In the lower back, which can eventually start working your way up all the way to the neck if you twist too much. What we do is we stand here, we got the wide knees out with pressure, we just lift the arms straight up. What am I doing? I'm stretching the back muscles. I'm stretching everything from my ankles right up through my calves, through my thighs, up through my hips, all the way up my back muscles, up to my chest, and all my arm muscles up here. I'm stretching them all one way. They start going the other way, and they snap the other way and go up. So we're getting pure stretch. We're not getting twisting. But we're using the back muscles. We're using the leg muscles. We're staying still so we can return ourselves back to that place with the centrifugal force to impact and swing on up. We're swinging in a tight circle, and what we're also doing is we're lifting our arms straight up in harmony with gravity. Gravity is the #1 law. All the other laws revolve around gravity. And when you swing a rock straight up and down, it stays real easy. But if you start tilting that rock up a little bit, what happens? You have to apply more energy to keep that rock in the orbit. Why? Because in that orbit, gravity's trying to pull it out. But when you're swinging it straight up and down, guess what? Half of every circle, every rotation, gravity is speeding it up for free. So that's why when we ask the question, you're going to hold, which club is going to be the easier club to hold up, this club or that club? Everybody says that club is, they pick this one in a heartbeat, right? Over this one. But yet, almost everybody in the world is swinging this to this club. They're swinging a heavy golf club. And I'm going to make you a promise. Your arms are designed to only swing up and down in front of your body. And when you start swinging the club over there, the club is heavy. You can't control a club and swing it with as much consistency, a heavy club, as fast as you can a light club. A light club's easy to control and accelerate, and we're going to be light on both sides. So hopefully that explains that thought. We stretch our muscles. We don't twist them like a dish rag. All right.
All right. Next question is from Tom Jans.
Tommy. In case any of you wondering, Tommy's our marketing director, and he also does a lot of research for us on finding where Doc and I are going to go to do golf schools. All right. Do you and Doc have any plans on traveling together this winter to teach and hold club fitting sessions? How can we find out your schedule? Don't you talk to Tom anymore, Doc?
Well, sure, dude, but he was giving us a segue.
Excuse me.
Yeah, this is a segue. This is a segue question.
He was giving us a segue there. So we covered it. Yes, we are working on it. And by we, I mean Tom is working on it. Thanks for asking the question and give us a segue there. As mentioned, October we're looking at Reston, Virginia. And then November, hopefully, we're going to get up into the Toronto area. At least that's our plan right now.
So to answer the second part of the question is how we can find your schedule. As always, the current schedule for golf schools are always published on the website. They're on Swing Surgeon in a small block on the right-hand side. They are also always on Don Trahan Academy at golf.com as we get schools finalized. And you know, we had questions in the customer service about schools, but we can't answer those till we have 100% confirmation that we will be doing school in a location. Once we get that confirmation, it is published on the website. Your best bet is to check the website. If it's not on the website, there's no point in asking any questions to us about locations that we may be going to. As soon as we get the 100% go ahead from the venue, we are a traveling golf school, so we must seek out locations to go to. We must have approval to come there from the management of the course, and that they're okay for us coming there, which is very, very, very different from, I want to say, 99% of the golf schools you may have experience with. 99% of the golf schools you may have experience with are people that are ingrained in a course or a location or a venue. You can go there and get classes from them anytime. We're a traveling golf school, so we cannot tell any school that we have in plans until it's 100% finalized. Once it's finalized, it's on the website. There's also links to register for it. You can pick your time slot. It's like reserving a hotel. I want that time slot, that time, that day. It's mine. And our reservation system will not allow anybody else to take that from you. So that's the second answer to Tom's question.
All right, I'd like to add on that a little bit
Throw
more.
in too about to answer questions if I don't attack the course.
Yeah, that's the other that's a very important thing. Do not ever contact the course. Contact Swing Surgeon, contact us. Do never, ever contact the course, because we may be working with a person at the course that you cannot contact. We may be working with higher management of the course, of which, the normal person will not be able to contact. So if you have a question about one of our schools, first and foremost, come to us. Contact schools@swingsurgeon.com. Again, that is schools@swingsurgeon.com. Contact us about any schools we may have.
Let me add one more thing to all of that. We are always looking for sites, but we have to go to places where there is a good surgite population. All right, because we have to have enough people to draw on to warrant us to go there, because there's big expenses in traveling alone. And so if you have a golf course or whatever that you think would be a good location for us to come and do a school, and you're in a pretty good size area of golfers and somewhat easy to come to, in other words, somewhere close to a major metropolitan area, which has a good selection of golf courses, whether it be good driving ranges. Now, naturally, if we're going to do a golf school and do a full golf school, we need a short game area too. But if you think you're in a good place, send that in, and you've talked to the people there, and they say, yeah, we'll let them come in. Because everybody thinks that basically I can go anywhere I want and teach. Can't. I mean, a lot of golf pros look at me, and they don't see me as bringing business to them. They see me as taking business from them. And they're and high-level teachers, or whatever you want to call me, scares them sometime. And so that's why if it's a municipal type golf course, a public type golf course, we got a higher, better probability. So if you know somebody that owns it, or you know the management of a place that even has maybe it's a place that's got a resort there too, and everyone else, and they have a lot of outside activities come in, and you can talk to the head pro or the director of marketing of the place or whatever, find out who's the person to talk to about bringing, say, a golf school in, and they say, and you tell them who I am, and they're happy with it. Then you take all their information and send it into
the same address, schools@swingsurgeon.com,
and give us all the information. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our whatever you call it,
our database of people.
How many people are in say 200 to 500 mile radius. Now, that's our main goal. But most golf schools, we have people come. I mean, last time I did a school in Dallas, half the people were from everywhere but Texas. All right? And so, in fact, Dallas, I had a lady from Massachusetts come down. She said, hey, it's my only week off. I wanted to come to school with you. So here I am. So, but per se, we have established it over time. We have to have a good, solid core of people in 200 to 400 mile radius that we consider to be 200 to 300 would be max driving time for them to want to come to a golf school, especially for one-day golf schools. Because basically that's all we're doing now is one-day golf schools.
Yeah, it's on average like 400-mile radius from a central location. So.
Yeah, so if you can help us out, man, we'd love to help. And we'll just send us the information. We'll check it out. And if it looks pretty good, we'll schedule it. And naturally, we're going to schedule it early enough so that we can find, if we can come to getting at least like 85% booking, we'll be there.
So let's push on with questions. We got about 15 minutes remaining.
Oh, I can handle this one. Here. A very simple question. What does the A stand for on one of my new clubs? I guess they bought the Surge clubs. I guess the A stands for awesome, doesn't it?
Most cases, but for Peter, it's a bull.
What's that? I can't hear you.
In Peter.
Yeah, we're having some problems with Doc again.
That's Columbia, man.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
What does the A stand for? Has that got something to do with the shaft, like an A shaft, meaning like a senior shaft?
No, that would be if it was on his shaft, but this is on his club. That's an approach wedge, which is the same thing as a gap wedge.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That was simple.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to the next one. Mr. Lionel MOP.
Oh, is it? I don't. Okay. My biggest problem is to start the downswing with the hip movement. You got to drill for that. Well, one of them would be just start skipping a rock and get the sense of when you feel as your arm's still going up, you're going to start feeling your hip go that way. You got to kind of lock that sense in. Another one is to imagine in your mind the bell. Bing, bang, the hips go. All right? And another third one, just to really feel a bump, is what I call the door jam drill. You get in a door jam between a room, and you put your say if you're a right-hander, you're going to put your left foot up against the left side, and maybe by up against I mean it might be an inch away because I want you to have enough room that you can slide your hip a little bit and feel the weight roll to the outside of your foot, and you just keep sliding it and bumping your hip into the wall. And when you bump your hip into the wall, your forward shoulder should be moving away from the wall. Many people who come over the top, you go to do that, your shoulder's gonna hit the wall, and your knee and hip are gonna move away. So it's like, again, just get in there and skip a rock in that door jam. And the door jam's a good one. And as I said, just skipping rocks. Okay, and it's good to do it if you're skipping a rock outside, to do it with the sun at your back so you can see what? You can see your shadow, you can see the hip moving and your shadow going, you see that curvature of when the hip goes, it's basically your lower body's running away from the upper body, so the spine and head go backwards just a little bit, and as soon as you're hitting the ball, you're hitting it, and you stand up, you got the Pop-Tart going, so we stand up really fast. Okay, so
can I add something here?
On we go.
Okay. Well,
what's that?
One thing I want to clarify, because again, we see it when we're out in the field so much. The bump is about that much movement, and I see people who are there's a misconception of what the bump is, and they're actually creating a sway where they go back. They don't preload heavy on the right, so they start and they go back the way outside or the right ankle, and they're trying to do the bump, and they slide into it. So another thing they could do is, remember when we used to put broken shafts in the ground beside the foot, if they're knocking that shaft on the left side down or moving it, they're not bumping, they're swaying.
All right. Good catch, Doc. I'm going to just add one more point to that. I'm going to redefine. When Doc said about an inch, that's what it is. I tell folks that if you want to take your belt buckle or your belly button, when you bump, it should move no more than about an inch. If it's moving more than an inch, then you're over bumping and your hips are running away. And if your hips really run away too much, your back side's going to collapse. So it's not a big move. Remember I said that your foot's only about ½ inch to an inch away from the door, and that means your hip will only be about an inch away from the door. All right? The door jam, that is, the wall. All right, I guess now we got Keith Irvine. I've been working on the surge swing for 3 years now. I am losing far too much distance by restricting my shoulder turn, 30 yards. I find that keeping the left knee relatively in place. I got to pull it down and get the rest of the thing. 1 inch movement affects how much shoulder turn I can make. And I don't think there's anything more from that. Well, the problem is that what I've seen over the years is that when golfers, that's the whole reason why we have the wide knees out with pressure. We don't want a big turn. So if a golfer is still thinking about power comes from a big turn rather than a limited turn and swinging your arms faster. And so I think the thing that Keith, that you need to listen to is to, in terms of listening, take one of those alignment sticks that they sell now, or take a golf club and hold the head hold the head outside the hands and just swing the shaft and listen to the swoosh. You want to hear a faster swoosh, whoosh, and so remember, if you're trying to make a big turn, you're still into body movement, trying to develop power through the turning, twisting, and coiling of the body. All the turning, twisting, and coiling, it can give you power, but it's going to give you what? It's going to give you more pain and stress and strain and pain than you ever want, and it's going to give you crookedness of shots. And because now your swing will not be developing power through centrifugal force, it's going to be developing it through centrifugal of the body, not centrifugal force of the arms, being able to swing faster with the quiet body. Remember, rock on a string. The body is symbolized by the hand. So we want the body to move less so you can swing your arms faster. And we don't want the big turn because, again, how can I turn my back here and return the club to the line? I do a test all the time, and you can do this. When I do clinics and stuff, I ask for a person out of the crowd. I ask them, have you and I ever talked? Have I set you up for anything you have to say here? No. I say, okay, take your dress, make believe you're going to hit a ball, and I'm going to say, no, okay, now just take your hand off the club, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put a rock in this hand. I want you to skip a rock on the lake. So they pull the rock back, and I grab the hand right there, and I got a club in my hand. And I put the club across their shoulders, and I say, look at how little you turned your shoulders. And then I take their hands, I take their shoulder, and I turn them where they would normally go. And I said, now, normally you turn here, correct? And they say, yeah. I said, well, why didn't you turn there to throw the rock straight at that flag? And every time I get one of 3 answers, or all 3 sometime from people. Well, it's not natural. I can't see the target. And from back here, I could throw the rock anywhere. And when I get that one, I love it because I come back and I say, yeah, and I bet you hit the golf ball everywhere. And they say, yep. Well, I said, if you can't throw a rock, which is in your hand, right here in your hand, accurately from back here, coming this way, what makes you think you can hit it with a golf club that is anywhere from about 35 inches? The head is 35 to 45 or 46 inches away from your hand. Logic alone tells you that can't happen. As we discussed earlier, you can't, no other sport turns the back to the target. So the biggest thing we have to overcome, I think one of the biggest things in PPGS, in terms of me talking to you and you talking to your friends, we have to get this idea out. Power doesn't come from twisting and turning your body like wringing out a dish rag. Power comes from the speed and the transfer from backswing to downswing. And that which goes straight up comes straight down a lot faster because you got gravity helping you, and that's the only way God designed our arms, to go straight back and straight up in front of our body. And when you look at the physics of it, tie the physiology in, God created the physics, and when he created our bodies and all the things that they can do, he does not defy physics with them. And if you can't throw a rock from back here, what makes you think you can hit it from swinging a club back there? So I think that's the biggest thing we got to get rid of, is this concept of power comes from a big turn. It doesn't. We get more power, more accuracy, more consistency, less stress and strain, and a body-friendly swing. PPGS, in the mitt and up the tree, and then in the mitt and up the tree.
All right.
Hopefully that answers it.
Let's see if we can answer the last question and then do a wrap up and cover some last minute things. Talk about the summer of golf and golf so far this year. So Last question comes from Jay Brown.
Serge and Doc. So Doc, he included you on this one. My shots generally go really high. I would like to hit the ball with a lower trajectory, especially in some of the Texas wind we get. How do I do that? Do I need special clubs? Can I make a swing adjustment? Jay Brown. Yeah, you can. I don't know about special clubs. All I know is I believe that in the normal conditions, or the wind at my back, or the wind a little bit helping me where I can put it up and let the ball ride the wind to get more distance, I want to hit the ball high. But at the same time, I have to have the ability to hit the ball really low. All right? Excuse me. So I have one set of clubs. I've always had it. Now, I grew up in Massachusetts. I played on a golf club that was near the ocean, and I played on one that was basically on the ocean. I mean, we had one green that was probably 200 yards from the beach, and we could see ocean liners and the big cargo ships going by. And the wind always blew. So all my life, I've been a good wind player because I grew up in the wind, and I know how to hit the ball low, but I can also hit the ball really high. And if any of you have seen DJ play golf, you know that DJ can hit it high. He can take it over trees when some players can't even hit it halfway up the tree. He can take it over the tree. But yet DJ can take it and hit it under the tree because I taught him both shots. You got to learn to hit knockdown shots. Now, knockdowns could be accomplished sort of like a question a little bit earlier said, choke up on the ball. But the biggest thing to knockdowns is it's just like tossing a ball or throwing a ball. You release it and you end it where you want the trajectory to be. So in other words, if I'm catching a ball in the outfield and I got to throw it all the way to home plate, I'm not going to release the ball here. If I release it here, I'm throwing a bullet, like I'm throwing a pitch from a higher pitching mound down. I'm going to have a little bit of back angle, spine lean, and I want to be throwing it up here someplace. Okay? So when you want to hit a knockdown, and guess what? This is all on the tape. That's called situational shots. Oh no, excuse me, working the ball, which leads me to another thing I have here that I was going to read today, and one of them was that Dean the Machine, who came to a school in Phoenix last year, he actually wrote a letter and said, I'm going to paraphrase this really quick here. He says, you can't learn PPGS just by the dailies. The dailies don't give you all the fine, intricate things you have to do, intrinsic things you have to do for your setup and your swing to hit even just a regular shot, never mind anything else. The dailies are designed for one thing. I answer a basic question, and I give you the basic generalities. But all the intricacies of how the bump happens, that's in the manuals. That's in some of the videos. You got to get into that stuff if you really want to get it all. I mean, the dailies are nothing more than tips. And sometimes I get a little involved in the tips, but they're still tips. They're not the meat of the subject. They're not the encyclopedia of what's going on. The text of the how-to.
Yeah, the fundamentals video is over 200 minutes of content.
Right, and then there's a lot of other ones like that. So you can have situational shots and working the ball. But into the wind, you have to learn how to hit knockdown shots. I just level the body out more, get my shoulders more. I'm not going to be preloaded heavy right. I want to be more neutral. Might even sometimes get a little heavy left, and I'm going to cut my shot off low. Excuse me. I might take maybe one left club if it's a normal 5-iron shot into the wind. So let's say a 7-iron. I might go to a 6 or a 5-iron and maybe choke a little and cut it off. Just think about throwing it, or if you're going to toss the ball underhanded, and if you want the ball to go straight out this way at this height, you're not going to follow through up to there. You're going to swing here and you're going to cut it off. But all of the things about setup and stuff are in the dailies. And I mean, in all reality, I'm going to be point blank. You can't learn the golf swing truly from the dailies. The dailies, if you talk to anybody who's listened to most of the videos, what are they going to say? The dailies, they hit the dailies, say, oh man, I forgot about that. That was a great question. I forgot about that. I got to do it. But you got to get in and learn it. And in all reality, if swing surgeon .com is going to stay on the air. We got to sell videos. We got to make some money. I'm not Santa Claus, even though I'm wearing a red shirt today. And we have to make money to be able to keep the website open. And it costs money to do all this stuff. And so that's how we make it, by selling you videos. We give you the tips that you need, but ultimately, if you really want to master it, you got to go in and get the videos. And you talk to anybody that's had videos, they're back in there listening to those videos more than anything. They're always replaying them. They wear them out. And that's the true way to learn it. I mean, I don't know if you can see my back here. You can see my thing full of books back there. There's tons and tons of books back there. I'm always going back in there and going into those books and stuff. And I mean, here's the Foundations Manual. It's right here. Because a lot of times when I'm asking a question, you ask me a question for a daily, I'm going back in here and finding out and making sure what I'm saying. And so now I will close off with this. Not close off, but at least finish this segment. There is a point. Somebody caught a big faux pas for swingsurgeon.com. And the faux pas is right here in the How to Make a Peak Performance Golf Swing. And when they talk about putting your feet down, it's written in this book that when you flare your feet, you only flare your left foot like 10 or 15 degrees. Flare the feet for rotation. Right should be flared 5 to 20 degrees, the left 10 to 15 degrees. That, for all of you folks who happen to have one of these, that is, I don't know how it got in there and how I missed it and how my 2 or 3 other people who read this missed it, but it's always been 30 degrees. Dr. Armstrong is writing a book called 30 Degrees Golf. And 30 degrees golf, which means your spine angles and your leg angles and everything else, and if your feet flare, is 30 degrees. Now, anybody that's seen me hit or been near me knows that I open up more than 30 degrees because I have duck feet. My feet can go straight out. I can hit the balls with my feet parallel to the aiming line. All right, so that is a mistake, and we'll keep reminding folks of that. And then when we get this book back into production, that number on page 3, number 2, flare the feet. I don't know. That was one of the most fundamental things to set up, and somehow it got messed up. And somebody finally noticed it after what? That book itself has been out for 20 years. So that will get fixed. So, I guess, Brady, that means we're pretty close to timeout, huh? Doc, do you have anything you want to close up with?
Nope, I'm good.
You're good?
I
all right, so
everybody participating.
I'll just thank you all for your questions, and we're going to try to get these going more on a much more consistent and possibly, I don't know if we can always say it's going to be at the exact same time, because once Doc and I get back out on the road, I mean, who knows where we're going to be. But you'll know if you go to the website and check out the golf schools and stuff. But we will be announcing them and doing them hopefully maybe on a much shorter time frame between each one, maybe hopefully like one a week or whatever. And we might even try to expand the process of doing these things. So we're trying to work things out. But I'm just going to close again. The dailies are great. They're a great reminder to always be saying, to give you, and hopefully you pick something out of it. But ultimately, you learn to swing through the manuals and all the videos. And talk to anybody who's got the videos, they'll tell you that's the way, it's the best way to do it. And when you buy a virtual video, you got it there to go look at any time you want. So again, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your hopefully your patience for waiting for us, for being a few minutes late. We had a tough time hooking Doc up down there in Columbia, South Carolina. There's no problem up here at Inman near the mountains. But I guess I'm closer to the satellite. That must be it, huh? So we appreciate all that, and we love your questions, because that's how we survive on questions. And so we look forward to talking to you again soon. And keep the questions coming in. Keep the faith. Keep spreading the word about PPGS. You know, the more people we got, the better off we are. And we got to keep growing this site to be able to survive. It's like any business. If you can't pedal backwards, you got to be pedaling forward. So we could always use the help that you can, and always looking to, if you got pros that might be interested, They can get certified. Same with club fitters, and get your buddies involved, and keep the questions coming. Keep the faith, and we'll be talking to you again soon. So we'll look forward to seeing you another time, and you'll get the next time you get the notice, send your questions in, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. And for today, for Doc, for Brady, this is Don the Surge. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
and we'll be talking to you again soon. Brady wants to say something.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that we weren't able to answer all the questions tonight. There were a lot of questions, and some of them came in later. There's a few questions actually sitting there right now, but I'll just say to everyone, thanks for sending in your questions. Sometimes, we could actually spend 3 hours answering questions, and we still couldn't get to them all. I'll just say to those that we did not get to their questions, sorry. I wish we could have. In regards to your questions, I would say, please post your questions in the blogs. Use our search tool on the website to search keywords in regards to your questions. We have over 2,000 blog posts. I think we're getting close to about almost 2,500 blog posts. We have almost 1,000 videos in our YouTube channel. We have a tremendous amount of information on our website, more than probably any other golf website out there, focused to one single golf swing methodology. So use the search tool on our website. Also, don't be afraid to go on to one of our blog posts and log in and ask a question. We have some Surgites that are extremely knowledgeable about the golf swing. One of the questions tonight was from Robert Mead. He is extremely knowledgeable about the golf swing, and he's very open to answering people's questions. And we have other people like Steve Smith and a few other people. A guy from New Zealand that also posts very regularly. We have people from around the world that often log in and will answer other Surgites questions about the golf swing. So I just want to say I'm very sorry for not getting to everybody's question tonight, but I just want to tell you all, hey, keep coming to the website, post your questions on the website, use the search tool. One way or the other, we will somehow answer your question. We or Don may not answer your question, but hey, there's sometimes a Surgite may answer your question without Don ever seeing it. So just be engaged, be on the website, log in, say hello, introduce yourself if you've never posted before, and it's a very welcoming community.
Oh, yeah. You ask a question, they'll answer it, and then sometimes they'll actually give you links right to a daily that answers your question. Excuse me. These guys got these. They got these things. Some of them got every daily I've ever done, and they'll give you links, and they'll answer the question and give you links and say, "Got any more? Come back." So you can get help, because this website is, like Brady said, all we talk about is one swing, the PPGS swing. It's not a smorgasbord of all kinds of swings, and this is only one thing: PPGS, 3/4 limited turn backswing, the body-friendly golf swing. So again, for Brady, Doc, and Don here, thanks so much for coming in, and we'll be talking to you all again soon.